Hi, welcome to Buzz and Bark. My name is Patricia, and I'm actually feeling a little bit better now. I was exposed to farm chemicals like a couple weeks ago, and I got really sick. I got mast cell activation syndrome flare up, and I feel better. I can move my arms and my shoulders, and the only thing I have now is like a lower back thing, but I can do some sound healing, and I'm back to doing Reiki again, so I'm really happy about that. And I have a special, I'm just going to call it an energy healing that I'm going to do today. I was doing some Reiki this morning. I do self Reiki, and sometimes when I don't have a lot of conditions I have to treat for myself, I send Reiki out to others in the world if I have extra energy. And today, I was getting some new types of sound healing using my voice. It's something I've been able to do actually for a long time, but I felt embarrassed about it because some of the sounds are really weird. And this morning, I was pulling cords out of. Okay, so I have this image. I'm going to call it more of a vision. That there are these really disgusting, slimy black cords that are attaching not just to humans, but to animals. And this morning, I felt like what I need to do is anchor us into the flower of life, sacred geometry. Now, I don't do a lot of work with sacred geometry. I'm not an expert on it. But when my spirit guides ask me to do something, I don't question it anymore. Because in the past, I would question it like, well, why am I logically doing that? But now I feel like I just need to go with it. I think a lot of the times in the past, the doubts I had was because of maybe self-worth issues or things like that. Like, because I had this tendency to compare myself to other healers. Like, oh, well, they studied with so-and-so and so-and-so, so who am I to do this? But I've been reminded over and over again that I've got some powerful spirit guides, and I'm basically a vessel that they work through. So I don't have to be like, a master of this and a master of that. Although I am certified master of Usui Reiki and some other things. And I have to say I got caught in that trap too, that a lot of people get caught in. And if you're one of those people, then you need to listen. If you have a self-worth issue, but you have a calling to be a healer, right? It could be for animals, could be for humans. There is this tendency to keep taking one workshop after another and never feeling like you're complete. And the antidote to that is to just get started, to just start where you are. If you want to start a YouTube channel, start a YouTube channel. Just start where you are. You don't have to have the fancy microphones. You don't have to have the studio with all the sound healing. You don't have to have the massage table and all the rest of those things that you think you have to have. Just start where you are, because the way the planet is right now, we all need to get out there with our gifts at whatever level we are and just develop while we're offering. So you don't have to be, you do need some training, but you don't need to spend your whole adult life taking one workshop after another because you don't have the confidence to just take the step. So now what we're being asked to do as healers and teachers or card readers or whatever it is just take that step and get out there and do it. You may want to do animal rescue. You may want to do you might be wanting to go and do animal communication at a sanctuary or whatever it is. Just take that next step this week. So if it's making a phone call, make a phone call. If there is one last class you need to take that class, and then find out how to get a business together. Or if you don't want to do it as a business, you want to do it as a volunteer, then start calling some community centers, some public libraries, or whatever it is, and start offering what you have to the public. And maybe only one or two people show up at your first thing. I went through this with astrology. When I first started doing astrology, I would do workshops and different things, and sometimes there'd be like only two people that showed up. Other times there'd be more people than I could handle. So you don't really know, and we're not here to embellish our egos. We're not here to slap a bunch of labels on us and say, oh, I took this class and studied with that person or whatever, and then do nothing with it. So if you're given an opportunity to learn something, that means that you're meant to share that. And if we don't start doing that, these situations in the world are not going to resolve themselves, because we're not being called to rant and complain and whatever about things in the world. We're asked to serve. And even with the writing that I do on Substack and everything, the message that I'm getting is it's time to serve, whatever capacity you can. And if you need to get inspired, then watch the Walk for Peace monks, right? In the short amount of time that I have been following them, they have walked something like 2,300 miles in the US, even in big storms. They went to Sri Lanka, they were successful in that mission, and now they're doing this enormous event over in Fort Worth, Texas at their monastery, or at the monastery there. And these things are miracles. When you think of just like this, they're not like a huge group of people. I mean, yes, they have volunteers, and yes, they have people making donations and all the rest of that. But it starts out with like one person. It starts out with a vision. So if you're that person that has a vision, then get it out there. Even if you just need to get the assistance of 2 people right now, and then eventually maybe you have a whole community around you. And maybe it builds slowly because your ego would get in the way otherwise. Because a lot of the times when something happens quickly, the ego can, a wounded ego especially, can become very dominating, controlling, manipulative, and then fall out of integrity. So a lot of times when things happen slowly, there's a reason for it. And it's because we're all dealing with our ego wounds. We're all dealing with this massive healing that we have to do. The other thing to watch out for is if you do work in animal advocacy, is to not take on a self-righteous or martyr type attitude. Because if you do that now, you're going to turn people off, and you don't want to turn people off because you need, as much help as you possibly can get from the public. And if you want to get the awareness of things out there, you cannot come off as strident, self-righteous, or that you know more than everybody else. Because if you come up with those attitudes, then you're actually going to derail a lot of the work that's already been done out there by other people, because you're going to turn people off from animal advocacy or whatever it is that you do. So we need to tame our egos. And so what I'm going to do today is I've got the Solfeggios here, and they can do a very deep healing. There's 9, I have 9 forks from the Solfeggio. And they work on the emotions. I feel like they can release blocks, all kinds of level. And then there's the harmony fork and the miracle fork and the transformation, and also hearing the higher calling. So a lot of us are hearing the higher calling. In fact, I think everybody on the planet is hearing a higher calling right now. Let me just get rid of these windows that are popping up on my camera. It's kind of annoying. This one does not want to go away. So we're hearing the thing, but we need to anchor it in. And so to anchor it in, I have this septarian stone. And this one is really good even for loving ourselves. Because when we love ourselves and we're at peace with ourselves, our personality tames down, right? And so we come across as more inviting, more soft. And there's nothing wrong with being soft. We've been taught that we have to be really hard in the world, that we have to be very masculine, and that we have to be, the loudest voice in the room. And I'm really getting that we don't need to be that. Because you can be like, it's this thing, I channel Frank Lloyd Wright on my Vimeo channel, and one of the phrases that he uses a lot is, you got to be the mama bear. You got to be the mama bear that walks into a space, because mama bear is respected and she doesn't have to do a dang thing, right? It's the presence. And so the more we work on ourselves, the more we heal ourselves, the more beautiful our presence is, the more strong our presence is. Because just because you have this feminine energy, which we balance with the masculine energy, right? The masculine energy supports the feminine energy. It doesn't make us soft pushovers or enablers, right? Or though in some cases, when it's distorted feminine, it can become enabling, and we don't want to do that. We want to give others strength and support, but we want to do it in a way where we're inviting, right? We don't want to scare people away. We don't want to come off as passive aggressive, right? Because that is not going to help animals, it's not going to help the planet, and it's not going to help us. So the other thing, which is kind of really pleasant, is the bird clock. Now there was a black and white dog that was following the monks in Sri Lanka, and so I wanted to tap into that dog's energy. Just wait till that's done. And I did, and what I got from that dog is that, well, one, that dog is balanced with the yin and yang, you know, the black and the white. And it's a very strong looking dog. It's a very muscular looking dog. I don't know if it's a pariah dog, or I don't like the name pariah. I don't know if it's like one of the street dogs from that area, or if it was a mixed breed. However, what I got from the dog is that the dog is strong and that others can lean on the dog. And I felt like a really strong, mature energy from the dog, and I felt like I should have written it down, because I did a little channel session with the dog, and the one word that just kept coming up is I'm strong. And the dog was coming to lend strength to the monks as they were walking. And also, there's a sense of balance and beauty and harmony, where we need those things in the world. We need to have beauty, because beauty helps us stay peaceful. It helps us stay calm. Like when you look at the monasteries around the world, they're beautiful places. There are gardens, there are fountains, there's a lot of nature, there's a lot of balance, created from, the symmetry. And if you look at like Japanese Zen gardens especially, they're gorgeous, right? And everything is in order. And so to have beauty and to reflect on beauty is extremely important right now. And your animals can already do that. So if you're walking your dog might be sniffing flowers or looking at, or, turning their head in a direction, and you follow their gaze and you see the most beautiful thing that you maybe seen your whole lifetime. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but dogs can bring that peace to us, but we also have to bring peace to them. And the way that we do that is to cultivate peace within ourselves. And I've already talked about that in other videos, so you can go and watch those videos on my channel so that I can get more traffic here. Because I do tend to give everything away in like one video, and I need to kind of sparse it, I think. Okay, so I'm going to be doing some sound healing, mainly with my voice, and the solfeggios. I'm not going to be doing the Reiki, because I was going to bring the Reiki symbols and I didn't do it. And I have some stones here which are going to be part of the healing. I've got the rose quartz, which is kind of a master stone that I use. It does have a little scar on it. I have sodalite, which is for the third eye, and I think also the throat, and then it's got white on it, so we can use that for the crown. This is a calming stone. This is a very beautiful healing stone. It helps us calm our brains. I've got this honey calcite, which is for cheerfulness and the solar plexus, and also the sacral chakra, so that we can have more joy and more peace and more courage. And then again, I have the septarian for grounding on the earth and feeling the love that the planet actually has to offer us. And so I noticed something, it's pretty obvious actually. When I'm on my computer, I feel drained. Like I feel like, and even right now, I feel like my energy is just getting sucked into the computer. And then I get really tired and I feel like I have to take a nap. But then I notice that if I go outside and I just walk in the sunshine a little bit and walk on the grass, that I will charge up and I will no longer have that urge to go take a nap. It will, it's almost like I'm plugging into the electricity of Mother Earth, And I feel like it's getting stronger and stronger. And I think a lot of that has to do with the solar flares and these comets. And I don't do astrology anymore, but you can go look it up. Go look up Stefan Burns videos or something like that. Because I feel like animals and us, we're all being affected by all of these things that are happening in the cosmos, that are happening here on Earth. And really what sound healing is frequencies. So we're getting frequencies from crystals and gemstones. We're getting frequencies from sound healing, especially things that are a direct frequency. Like this is 174 hertz. This is a singular frequency. So this is really targeted. But also bees buzzing, if you ever walk by a bush and you're not allergic to bees, that's very healing. Birds singing is very healing. All of these things have vibrations. Whales, dolphins. If you can't be near real whales and dolphins, then you can definitely listen to recordings. The sound of the forest. I remember back in the 80s, and I think it was like the 80s when New Age music was a really big deal. You used to be able to get these soundtracks, which would just be birds in different kinds of forest, tropical forest or a deciduous forest or whatever it was. And so people used to listen to that because back in the 80s, people worked way too hard, and some people still do that. And they were getting chronic fatigue and all these other things because they couldn't slow down. Well, now we know more about the brain and the vagus nerve and all these other things, and animals are also affected by this. And the thing that I know is going to be happening in the future, I mean, I have this really strong sense of it, is that we're going to understand more that the animal health, our pets' health, has a lot to do with our own energetic fields and whether we can regulate our nervous system or whether we can't. Because they are so sensitive and so tuned into us. Remember, they communicate with us telepathically like 24/7. So every signal we're sending out, they're picking up. They're like the master empaths. So a lot of humans will say, I'm an empath, I'm hypersensitive, which I am. And then we think that we're the most sensitive thing on the planet, but multiply that times maybe 100, and then you've got your cat or your dog or your iguana or whatever pet it is that you have. Okay, so today, hopefully we can do some calming down of our systems. I am not a medical practitioner. If you're having problems with your neurological or brain health, please go get appropriate help from a medical professional. What I do is I work on the energy body. And the energy body is where everything starts. And also the energy body is affected by all these things that are floating around out there. They could be thought forms, they could be entities, they could be, I don't know, energetic parasites. All these things are out there. These are real. I'm not saying this to scare you. But the more you can do sound baths, the more you can listen to frequencies, the more you can, bless your water, bless your food, work with different devices that are out there if you can afford them, different types of jewelry, even though just regular gemstones can work just as well. You want to deflect all that stuff away from your energetic field, because what happens is it gets on your energetic field. It makes its way into the emotional body, the mental body, and eventually the physical body. And so I think that warding off, if you already have conditions, then you need to deal with them. But there could be some conditions that haven't formed yet, and they're way out here in your energy body, in your spirit body. And you want to deal with that. So you want to have your life in balance. You want to have your mental health in balance, your emotional health, your physical health, and your spiritual health. And there's a lot out there that is barraging not just us, but animals. And a lot of it is in thought forms, and thought forms is programming. And programming is meant to keep us feeling weak and small and helpless and having to turn to experts and looking for authority figures. And if you find that that's the case with you, then go get some kind of mental health counseling so that you can get over whatever mom or dad issues you have. Where you always have to where you always have to give your energy or your power away to somebody else or something else. Because you are given a gift, it's called intuition, and everybody has intuition. Everybody can do telepathy. Everybody can do all these things, but you got to shut off the outer world, right? You've got to You've got to disconnect from the outer world. And some of the traps right now that I'm seeing is consumerism, nostalgia, and labels. And that's something that I can get into in another video, because this is you can go to my website, Metaphysics for Everyday Living. I'll probably do an article on that there. I think I already have, actually. And so for this channel, this is for animals. This mission here is to help you bond more deeply with your pet. And what I found is that if humans don't work on themselves, then there's no bonding with your pet. So the animal is basically a mirror for you, and they are showing you what parts of yourself you need to work on. And also, when you work on those things, you're healing them too. Because each animal came into your life, it's fated, it's contracted, it's not an accident. You didn't just suddenly one day go to a shelter and get an animal, or wherever it is your pet came from. You didn't just go walking down the street and then this animal follows you and now it's your pet, the animal's your pet. It's not an accident. All of this is, it's almost like the word I get is preordained. It's all planned. It's pre-planned. It was going to happen. And the lifespan, all of these things, it's all planned ahead of time. So how long that animal is going to live, what the lessons are that you're going to learn, and all the blessings that you're going to have, and all the development, all the self-development that is going to happen. I was fostering I don't have the story up anymore. I need to maybe put it up again, or maybe I do have it up on my channel, where I was fostering the family dog because he needed a new home. And through that relationship, I ended up becoming a Reiki master. And I had no intention of doing any of these things, right? But animals will work on us. They work on our energy bodies. They are natural healers. And they may seem goofy, or they may have behavioral issues, and you may think that they're not very smart, but their intelligence is not the same intelligence as human intelligence. It's a cosmic intelligence. It's an intelligence where they never disconnect from the creator, or whatever you have in your spiritual realm. They never disconnect. We disconnect. They don't disconnect. So they're always plugged in, and they are not brainwashed. They're not programmed. I mean, that is more of the human construct, although we believe that they are. So we believe that they're a certain way because we were told that they're a certain way. But when you start doing something like animal communication and you start communicating with these animals, you will be blown away of the wisdom that is contained in each of them. And that's one of the pleasures of being an animal communicator, is being able to witness this. And it does help animal communicators grow and develop as well, because they'll sometimes sneak a little lesson in for us, even though we're there for the client. But sometimes the animal will sneak in something like, you need to learn this or something. But of course we don't express that. We just keep that internally for ourselves, because otherwise the client's going to wonder like what's going on. So, okay, so I'm going to do this sound healing. And it's going to be a little strange. I'm going to give you a warning on it. And I'm using my body as a surrogate. So if I see like the black slimy cords, I already worked with the stone pneumite this morning to dissolve the cords. They won't be my cords on myself. And I forgot to bring my clearing spray. Oh, shoot. Oh, well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call in Archangel Michael. I'm going to call in Archangel Uriel, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Metatron, and Archangel Sandalphon to hold the space. I am calling on our spirit guides and our spirit helpers of you and your pets and anybody watching this in the future. And I am stamping this timelessness on this session so that it can work in perpetuity. And even if people don't actually watch the video, but they tune into the energy, then they will also receive this clearing. And we're going to also be activated in the flower of life, again, sacred geometry, because it's going to be coming in with the Solfeggios. So solfeggios are powerful tones. Again, I don't want to get it too deep into it. You can go look it up. I have been working with these since, when did I first get them? I think I got these in 2021, and I have been working with them ever since. And they do bring transformation. They're amazing because we see them a lot, because a lot of people use them in videos, and you see the solfeggio tones on a lot of frequencies and things. It seems almost commonplace now, so you're thinking, well, they can't be very powerful because they're everywhere. Are they ubiquitous? But they're very powerful. And you have to also set the intention that you want to be healed from them. So if you just listen to them, but you're not actually connecting with them, it's probably not going to do a whole lot for you. Now, the animals will connect with it, although I find that dogs don't like 174. So if your dog walks out of the room while I'm doing these solfeggios, don't worry about it. It's not a problem, you know, and they'll come back probably when we get to some of the other tones. But I find that, I know there was one dog in particularly that gave me the whale eye. So the cat loved it, but the dog in that space didn't like it. Okay, so again, I called in the angels. They're clearing the space. I'm calling in the violet flame to just surround everyone. If you would like this healing, uncross your arms and legs. If you don't want, you can cross some part of your body, and then your animals will still get it unless they cross their legs or arms, or if they walk in and out of a space. Let them have like a cracked door. If you have a door closed, kind of leave it partially open if it's possible, because animals like to move to and from the energies, and then they process it. So your animal may take the solfeggios, like part of it, and then leave and go into another room. That's them processing it on their own, and then they know what to do. They're very wise in that way, because animals don't even like the Reiki so much when you put your hands on them. They kind of like you to be back with it, and then they'll come and go and come and go, because then they feel like they're in control of the flow. So it's the same with this thing that I'm going to do today. And again, I'm going to use different kinds of vocalizations and the forks, and I don't really know what's, because again, this is coming from my spirit guides, and also I am bringing in some galactic. I've been working more and more with the galactic energies, because we're now in that age where we are forming those bonds with the galactics, and Earth is changing. Everything's changing. You'll probably already know this. You've seen the videos on YouTube, I'm sure. Your animals have been on board with this. They are not afraid of this energy. And then, of course, I have the angelics that I just brought in. So they actually send sounds through me, and I was never able to sing like this back when I used to get on stage and I wrote songs, and you know, my voice would like crack and all the rest of that. But when I started opening myself up to channel voices, I have all kinds of things come through. Light language, yoiks, all kinds of chanting, like I don't even know like what the words are. I have no idea what it is. But it feels really good in my body. And then I can make really guttural noises, which is to break up energy that needs to go into the light and be dissolved. So let's get started. And please like, share, comment, and subscribe. So thank you. We're going to start with 174. Yatero no maraka toleka. Tomerate wataka para que chukote para que toloka pata para que torakate. Okay, I'm bringing in that flower of life, and I'm also bringing in the seed of life. And I'm anchoring it in. And if you know what those look like, you want to visualize them as well. If you don't, that's okay. Okay, so now we're going to do 285, and then I'm just going to go all the way up through them, and then I'm going to go back down. And you got the refrigerator humming in the background. Okay, I'm going to stop right now. I'm going to continue. I need to pull some chords out. Okay, now I'm bringing in some light balm. All right, let's continue. I'm calling in Archangel Michael with his blue sword to cut all those cords and to dissolve them in a purple flame. And those cords are nostalgia, consumerism, and having to have labels for ourselves, because these are all ego traps. And there's also some low self-worth thought forms which we're removing as well with this 417 tone. And now I'm going to bring in the Miracle Transformation tone. This is probably the most popular solfeggio tone. It's also the first tuning fork I've ever had. It's followed by balance and harmony. I feel like I have to do this one a little bit longer. Okay. Now we're going to get that jet energy. It was that jet that flew over. We're going to get rid of that energy with the 741 hertz. And sodalite for calming. This one is good for if you're really sensitive to your environment. 741 gets rid of pollution. I mean, I can't make the scientific claim, but that's what they say. Or at least energy smog. And you can combine it with the, there's a flower essence society. They have an environmental formula. It's like a flower essence. It's really powerful. It's not an endorsement, but I've used it, and it's really good if you're sensitive to your environment. And a lot of chemically sensitive people use it. Works really well with this tone, 741. And if you are environmentally sensitive and you can only get one tuning fork, get the 741 if you can get it singularly. And now we're going to get into the last two tones, which is 852 and then 963. And these are both to hear your higher, this one's for your own higher wisdom, and then the other 963 is the Godhead. Feeling angels really attached to this one too, like you're really super high level angels. Okay, so now we're going to go all the way back down the solfeggio scale. This one is for inner harmony and also outer harmony. Okay, that's to bring the sacred geometry around every cell in your body and to recalibrate and to clear away what is not serving you or your pets for highest and best. And there's a second part of that. What do I picture somebody's cat bouncing around? This is another really beautiful tone. This one helps us release guilt and shame. And I do remind you that when this is over, please go drink a glass of water, like the whole thing. And then you might want to put some lemon in it maybe, if you have some. And then make sure that your pets have fresh water throughout the day, and if it's purified water, it would even be better. Or if it's not, then at least bless the water. Which we need to do anyways. Take some deep breaths, at least 3. You can even let it out with a sigh or a yawn. glad I'm almost done because my arms are starting to hurt. Okay, so. Okay, 174 is grounding for us. Feel your feet on the earth or on the ground. Push your soles of your feet into the ground if you can, if you're not laying down. If you are laying down, then press your legs into whatever surface you're on. And again, take some deep breaths. You can let it out with a yawn or a sigh. Shrug your shoulders. Your animals might be shaking out this energy, which is good. You might want to do some kind of like shaking out yourself. Take your cues from your pets. This is the last one. And then I'm going to go to my morning Qigong. Okay, so if you're like really super relaxed, you can either just rest for the next 30 minutes or whatever it is you want to do. Or if you need to get on with your day, then wiggle your fingers and toes. You know the routine. Shrug your shoulders, roll your neck, roll your shoulders. You could tap on yourself. You can also do some pets on your animal like this, just to help them process that energy. I mean, if you have a furry animal, obviously you're not going to do it to a bird. Yeah, and this is going to conclude this session. I don't want to talk anymore because I want this to be able to digest energetically. But remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and have a beautiful and wonderful week with you and your pet bonding. Bye for now.